Chinese Tech Tree tank destroyers are the least ground vehicles in the entire game. The WZ-113 GFT has less than 1,000 players using it this month, which is kind of sad when you think about it. When you look at the Tier 9, the Tier 8, even the Tier 7, they are all fantastic vehicles. The Tier 8 has had numerous buffs. Its armor profile is actually insane now. It's got great accuracy, fantastic alpha, even great DPM. The Tier 9 has the highest penetration for a TD in the class, and as well it's got great frontal armor. And then you come to the Tier 10, 113 GFT, which we'll be talking about in today's video, which not only got a mobility buff, not only got a dispersion buff, but as well got an armor buff. It's gotten almost everything you would want, and yet people still choose not to grind down this line. Now, I have made numerous videos talking about the 113 GFT, even when it first came into the game, saying that it was a great vehicle, and still to this day, I am vouching to grind down this line, even over the Object 268. Why is this vehicle so good? Well, we'll be breaking into everything you need to know in today's video. So as always, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But let's start off with the armor profile. Now sure, an Object 268 does have some pretty good armor. In fact, we'll start off with the Object 268. It's pretty solid. The upper plate is upwards of 270. You've got 280 on the hull. It's very strong on the armor, and if you're using it fully hull down, you can get some great bounces. But at the same time, it's not great. Its thickest is 300 millimeters thick. So if you're running calibrated shells on any medium tank, you're gonna penetrate no matter what. Even without Cali, you still have a pretty decent chance of cutting through the vehicle, because if it angles slightly, you're going to penetrate every angle no matter what. That is not the case for the 113 GFT. If we pull this vehicle up with its 6 degrees of gun depression, this is what it looks like for a Tier 10 medium using calibrated and heat. You have no chance of penning it anywhere. It's 336 on the upper plate. The angled parts are obviously even way thicker. Even if you turn the tank to the side, it's still 450 because they upped the armor on the angled parts. So you just can't pen this tank. It's 350 base, which means that even for a lot of Tier 10 heavies, let's say like a Concept 1B that has around 340 heat pen, you can't pen it. It is incredibly strong after they've buffed the armor, and that has made it, in my opinion, one of the strongest Tier 10 tank destroyers in the game. It's almost like you merge a E3 with an Object 268, and this is the child you get. It's decently fast at a top speed of 38 kilometers per hour, but with an absolutely fantastic power to weight of 17, which gives it an average speed of 32. It's got great traverse speed, fantastic aiming time, and with the special consumables like the one I'm running, which is reticle calibration, it basically makes this vehicle have 0 dispersion. This replay you're about to watch is a total of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Normally, when you look at really high damage battles, they're more like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It's an entire game where you draw out a long time to get damage. That's not the case for this battle. It's a ridiculous amount of damage blocked, dealt, and you're just gonna see why I love playing in the 113 GFT. Now, the enemy team has some strong vehicles. They got an IS-7, an AIM-X50B, a Krandong, even a VK90. And for mediums as well, they got a TVP, which can destroy me if it gets behind my tank with that massive clip of 1200 damage. They also got an M60 and a 268. I mean, they got a really, really solid lineup. And I'm not gonna lie, our lineup is pretty good as well, but we do have 2 Tier 10 tank destroyers where they get an extra heavy in return. So we are definitely down on hit points, and that is a bit of a shame. So I'm gonna take the liberty up and do the role of a heavy in my 113. That's one thing that you can't say that is possible to do in every tank destroyer. Even an Object 268, I don't feel very comfortable driving a 268 right in the front line, but an IS-7 with premium shells can't even pen my upper plate, which is pretty impressive. So there you go, second shell into the IS-7. That's already 1300 hit points we've taken off of that guy, and oh my, VK90 just jumps right on top of the IS-7, completely smashing all the hopes and dreams he had. So at this point, I'm pushing off to the side. We got the 268, easy shot. You can see I put on my reticle calibration, snapped it into the 268, and now we're up to 2,000 damage. I'm purposely making sure that my angled hull will not be penetrated by his vehicle, so we get a bounce. And obviously at this point, I know I out-reload him, so there you go. A second shell into the 268, and what was a full health tank destroyer is now at 600 hit points. And yeah, you can clearly tell this guy is not a happy camper. Pens a heat shell on my vehicle, but oh no. Oh, wait, you're dead. Well, there you go. There goes the enemy 268. Now we're at 3,000 hit points of damage just in the first 2 minutes. We got a VK90 in front of me, which, yeah, a full health VK90. It has almost almost double my hit point pool. That's not great, but easy shot right into the lower plate. That's definitely what I want. That's going to take him some time to get over towards us, and I don't even know what the VK90 is thinking right now, because he has two choices, either push on me or deal with what's behind him. Makes the decision to push on me, and while that's going on, I'm just going to tap a heat shell right into the turret cheek. Easy shot, 555 damage, and what was a full health VK90 is now half health, and not to mention, I've also bounced a shell because, again, the armor on this vehicle is working great. So I'm going to aim it on this VK. We're just going to shoot right at the lower plate. Max roll of 800, which is obviously what I want. And then I block him so that my teammate in his Concept 1B can finish off the VK. So now we got two vehicles left. We're at 5,000 damage dealt. And, well, you know I'm going to shoot at this TVP. Easy HE. Oh, boy, 928 hit points. That just shot us up to 6,000 damage. And there's still two vehicles left with a pretty decent chunk of hit points. We got about 2,000 hit points left here. We could have actually dealt about 8,000 in this game. So I'm going to put on my Reticle Cali, and, Shell's just a tad bit behind that TVP. Kind of sucks. That would have been really, really sweet if I could have gotten that shell off, because I still would have been able to hit this M60. But either way, we're going to slap a shell into the M60's rear for 1,000 hit points. I mean, that is truly insane, just how quickly you can rack up damage in a vehicle like this. We have blocked over 2,000 damage in this game, and dealt over 7,000 damage. And there you go, easy pen on that M60, and I'm going to back up, scrape my rear on the TVP, and finish him off. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the WZ-113 GFT. And that was just one out of many games I've played in this tank. 7,400 damage. We got a steel wall, obviously a mastery. And again, this was only a 3-minute and 30-second battle. I really find that people underestimate a tank like this. Sure, it might not be the nicest looking vehicle, but you shouldn't be picking a tank based on looks. Just because the 268 looks nicer, and I'll agree, it is a very nice Soviet looking design, you always want to pick a tank for performance-wise. And ever later than as it is in the meta right now, I think that really the 268's armor just doesn't work like the 113's does. You can play this tank against mediums, and they can't pen you physically, cannot pen you in the hull, even if you're not running enhanced armor. You can run this vehicle against heavies, and because you have reticle calibration, snap shells into weak spots that you couldn't hit in an Object 268. You also have, obviously, reactive armor, which means you can take 20% of damage away from the front of your vehicle, kind of turning you actually into a heavy. For provisions, you can run sandbag armor, which gives you an extra 108 hit points, 2,000 compared to the Object 268, which doesn't have sandbag armor, sitting at 1,900. So I personally think over the buffs and over the years, the 113 GFT has become a better 268. Not for every situation. The 268 still has the speed. It still has really, really troll armor and a much better camouflage rating. But for frontline capability, I would always pick the 113. That's obviously my personal opinion. And let me know what you guys think about this video in the comments down below. Did this make you want to grind the 113 GFT, stop the 268, or just let me know? I personally really like the 113 line. And also, it's not like the grind is bad. The 111 GFT is great. I mean, its Top Gun is fantastic. It's got ridiculous pen. And even the stock gun on this vehicle is great when it comes to pen, damage per shot. You grind to the WZ-111 1 GFT, and this vehicle also has a fantastic Top Gun. It's got a great stock gun, which has fantastic pen, as you can see. 260 on the standard. It actually has more standard pen than the Top Gun. So you don't really have a big downside there. Really, the only tank that's painful to grind is the T-34 2 GFT, and you still have 200 millimeters of standard pen on a stock tier 7. That's great. So yeah, personally, I think the whole line is great. It's a fantastic grind, and you'd probably enjoy it. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.